download from the Wireless Theatre Company.
I'm Marielle Raneke-Temple. I'm the founder and artistic director of Wireless Theatre. There are over 200 plays on the Wireless Theatre website, and I have been involved in some capacity on every single one. The original idea of Wireless Theatre in its first form came to me by my dad, and he said to me, I wish I could listen to the radio plays that I love on Radio 4 online. And then actually between us we sort of were like, well, actually maybe downloadable radio plays would be the answer to that. And I had the idea and the passion, but not necessarily the skills. So I wanted to bring in people who are equally passionate about it.
I'm Cookson. I'm a director and producer as well, and I've been working for Wireless for about 8 years, I would say, doing a variety of projects for them.
I am David Beck. I'm a director. I have directed, I think, 20 plays for Wireless, and formerly was an actor and acted in 10.
My name is George Maddox. I am a director, and I have directed 11 radio plays and 5 short films for the Wireless Theatre Company.
I'm Jack Bowman, and I've worked at Wireless Theatre as a director of 14 productions, a writer or co-writer of 12 productions, and a producer of 4 productions.
I'm Jessica Dennis, and I have done 25 projects for Wireless, I think.
My name's Rob Valentine. I'm a writer, director and producer with Wireless, and I've directed 3 studio plays, 1 live show and an audiobook.
I'm Gareth Brown. I'm Wireless's resident lighting guy. I've lit approximately 30 plays for Wireless, including, if you're watching this at the birthday celebration, I'll be behind you lighting this show.
Wireless Theatre was really a way to kind of create my own work. I was working at the London Dungeon at the time, which was a real hub of creative activity.
I came to be involved in Wireless Theatre back in 2006. I'd just written my first stage play, which was called Frozen, which was going on at the Etc. Theatre down in Camden. I think it was on our penultimate night, Marielle approached me about the idea of adapting Frozen for this new thing she was setting up, which became Wireless Theatre.
No one was doing essentially podcast drama. That's what it is in its purest form.
It wasn't really a known thing, and in fact Wireless was pretty unique. It's obviously changed a great deal in the period of time that we're talking about, but it was a pretty unique thing, I think.
It embraced online, it embraced digital early, and then having embraced digital early, it also let people loose to do whatever they wanted. And that was at an incredibly fertile time within the online kind of distribution world. Something that I don't think can be emphasised enough when we do talk about Wireless and we talk to Wireless, that they were there right at the cusp of it at the beginning, and that's what gave us the freedom.
That was the clever thing. It was about 18 months before the BBC even rolled out the beta tests of iPlayer. So Wireless was producing this material and leaving it there and saying, please take it, MP3 format, like they would with the podcast. But what it was then doing was opening up radio drama to people who necessarily would just either expect to listen to it live once or maybe catch a repeat.
I first got involved with Wireless as a result of Dinner and Mojitos with Mr. Jack Bowman, because Wireless was just starting and they were doing his play Frozen as their first thing. That was the night we came up with the idea to do the Spring Hill Saga. Spring Hill Saga is a 9-part fantasy adventure series about the Victorian bogeyman Spring Hill Jack. But he was always kind of really a spooky MacGuffin. He was an excuse to do something that was kind of full of intrigue and multiple scene changes and big, fruity Dickensian cast.
Next time.
I would like a simple assurance.
Prime Minister?
This was a brazen, full-frontal assault on the British Army, an act of war, sir!
Thanks to doing it for Wireless, Jack and I were allowed to get obsessive about it, and so we did. So it's the most layered, detailed, finely crafted thing we'll ever be allowed to do, because no one's ever going to let us do that again. And we kind of knew that at the time, which is why we said, sod it, we're going to do it the way we bloody want to do it.
No one other than Wireless would give us even understand what we were trying to do with that as a company.
Just thinking of the blood, sweat and tears that went into that project, it's 9 episodes and each episode is only 40 minutes, but it's years and years of our lives. And I just think we all worked so hard and everyone was so passionate about it, and you can hear that in the production. And I think that really does sum up Wireless Theatre.
The wireless moment I'm most proudest of is 2012, standing on a stage in Minneapolis, picking up the Ogle for the first series of Spring Hill. That was awesome, but what was more exciting was the fact that Jerry Stern said, and these guys have come from London, and 2,000 people just started cheering. And if I could have crowd surfed in that moment, I would have done.
With radio drama, you do have the freedom of doing kind of whatever you want. You can create huge cinematic soundscapes, set things on the moon, set something underwater.
The thing about wireless that is wonderful that I was never used to was you could sell a play just by saying, I want to do this play. I've no idea how long it is. It's got rude words in it, and this wasn't a problem. That was absolutely wonderfully liberating. After a lifetime of producing plays that were 44 minutes long for Radio 4 and then have no swear words and endless referrals, I found that wonderful.
It gives you the room to take risks and be experimental and stuff like that. So, which you don't get anywhere else.
Wireless does fill a gap. I think it does provide a different route into what can be a very closed industry and a non-traditional experience of it as well. It's not stuffy, it's not predictable.
If you're talented and you're willing to go feet first into something and just drive it forward, own it and deliver it, the sky's the limit. You can literally do whatever it is you choose.
So one of the things I think that wireless theatre, certainly in its early days, was most known for was our live recordings. This was born, I guess, from me having a love for live theatre on top of a love for radio drama. And we didn't by any means invent live radio recording, because obviously the BBC have been doing it for absolute years. But what we did do is change it a bit and make it so that the live radio drama recording is like going to watch a live play.
We go into a venue, hopefully a theatre, but as often as not, the basement of the Roundhouse or a hotel function room or some random meeting room or anywhere pretty much. And we record a live show in a way that kind of resembles theatre.
It's quite unusual. It's not something that many people come in saying, oh, well, I've done loads of these live recorded audio plays, or this big body of work that I can talk about, and working with incredible actors and writers and directors along the way. And there was a bit of a mad, frenetic energy around doing the live show.
Putting on a live radio play normally in a day is one of the fastest ways of telling a story. If you do a proper play, you waste a load of time. Everyone's got to learn their script. You've got to block it. With the way wireless does it, bang, you're putting on a show now.
Adrenaline of doing it just the once. You're always kind of working up to one performance was terrifying, obviously, being an actor, but also it was very exciting, and we always had a good party afterwards.
Yeah, that was just the whole, we did this from nothing in no time, and it really worked.
Typical wireless moments for me was when we were recording a live recording of a drama called Phonophobia at the Leicester Square Theatre, and we turned up at 8:30 in the morning knowing that we had to do the show at I think 7 o'clock that evening, and we got told that there'd been a murder on the doorstep of the theatre that morning.
We were working in a studio very late at night because it was cheap. There was no coffee, no tea, no electricity, no kettle, no water.
So being in a studio with some very impressive professional actors about, and your 2 scripts for 2 series in pieces all over the floor.
The 1 day and the 1 hour we were given, Matthew Kelly's agent was very clear. He comes in at 2, he finishes at 3, he has to be at the theatre by 4. Fine, no problem.
The first time we went up to Buxton to do a live show that we'd worked pretty hard on, rehearsing, getting together. It was a tricky show. And we were going up there to do it once, just one show. Go up there, stop over, do a show, do it well, come back. That was the plan. Left on a Friday night, I think, after work. We got absolutely battered in the van going up there.
We had to wait for forensics to arrive before we could get in. And we were like, I mean, are you kidding? It was Halloween. And we were like, are you joking? And they were like, no, that's really what happened. So we were like, right. So we were all sitting in the Burger King across from the theatre at Leicester Square for, I don't know, 3.5, maybe 4 hours.
I had a group of actors who were used to working the sort of more BBC way, threatening to kind of walk out.
The only schedule there is the one in my head. So everyone's completely dependent on me.
So we turn up at the studio and it's just before 2 o'clock and David Benson's turned up and Matthew Kelly's on his way and there's no technician.
And then we went straight to the pub by the Travelodge, which had some weird kind of heavy metal band going on. It was smashed to like 2:30 in the morning. We had to get up at 7 the next day. One of the cast members slept in the bath.
Waiting for forensics to finish with this murder. I mean, it sounds morbid, but this is genuinely what happened. And then obviously we got in and we had like 3 hours to do our entire tech of this entire show.
And the whole thing was just completely hairy.
Matthew Kelly turns up and he's lovely and he's really nice and he's a good friend of David Benson, and we put him in the kitchen and it's all going well. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I know you've got an hour, but we've just got some issues with the studio. And he's all like, it's fine, darling, it's fine.
If this is the moment, turning up at the venue at like 8 in the morning, hanging, and just thinking, why have we done that?
By 2:30, the studio is still in disarray because none of the technology is working. Then, come 2:45, our technician turns up.
And absolutely rinsed. I was rinsed, and the cast I could see were rinsed. You could see it in their eyes, and they only had one go at it. And so, even worse, to make it even worse, is I'd ended up having to do the Foley. I really didn't want to do the Foley because I'd done it before and it's stressful, and I was directing the show, that was enough. I didn't want to be doing the Foley as well, and I had to do the Foley. I was sweating and it was really hard work. And I had one really important cue where I had to do the sound of a punch in front of the microphone. And I just kind of missed my own hand and punched the Foley mic, which is an extremely sensitive microphone. Just made such a mess of it.
Basically, we ended up with 10 minutes to record an hour's worth of dialogue. We rattled through it, and he was out the studio by 3:05.
I mean, awful. And I was thinking, why could we not have just had a cup of tea in the van on the way up and got a nice early night and woke up feeling chipper? And not punch the microphone and got it right and done it properly. Why did we have to get so drunk? I mean, it was just that. Yeah, that kind of encapsulates for me what Wireless is. I'm sure we still did a pretty good show. I'm sure it was fine.
Well, working for Wireless has changed my life quite dramatically and hugely for the better. I think I was getting into a rut of not being able to do enough plays, relying a lot on teaching, acting and that sort of thing, very piecemeal work. And it's been wonderfully fulfilling, and people keep on saying how well I look now, and I think it's because I'm working so hard.
It's given me a lot of experience in a very short period of time that if I was an aspiring director otherwise, I probably wouldn't have got, because, you know, how often do you get asked to direct a play?
I've made an awful lot of friends over the last 10 years just simply through doing Wireless. If it wasn't for Wireless, I don't think I'd have left my room in the last decade. So actually, you know, it's had many positive effects on my life.
It is a really hard thing to break into, and I think if you haven't done something like the Carlton Hobbs, it's an incredibly hard thing to get into as a modern actor. So without Wireless, I'm not sure that I would have done. And that would be really sad, because I love it.
I came to it as an actor who had just written a script. That was it, back in the day. And within 18 months, I was then given the opportunity to direct for the first time. And then from there, I was given the opportunity to write more. And then I was given the opportunity to produce. And then later on down the line, I was given the opportunity to teach as well. So basically, it's allowed me to not only grow as an individual creatively and try other avenues that might have seemed strange to me 15, 20 years ago when I started as an actor, but it also allows me to grow from there and then pass back down the ladder, as if it were.
There is no way to sum up just the 10 years in one sentence. It's not possible. I think it's been 10 amazing, chaotic, fulfilling, exciting years, and I'm so pleased to have been able to work with so many people, and hopefully most of them are here now, and that's really, really exciting. And I can only hope that we have even close to this amount of fun and experiences and positivity and great output and terrible hangovers as we have had over the last 10 years in the next 10 years.